as a resolution, I decided to work on recordings to put into a podcast in 2024. Normally, I don't really make resolutions, but I was like, let's just see where this goes. Let's see what happens. And also, like, sometimes, when you have a lot on your brain and you're like, let me just say it out. Yeah, so basically, it's kind of like, I want this to be kind of an unfiltered, just, I guess, sounding board in a way. And if someone finds it entertaining or if someone finds it boring enough to put them to sleep, then cool. So just enjoy it in whatever way you want. It's just some raw thoughts. So they're not even baked. Some of them are half baked. But yeah. I think we also live in a time, this little era here, where it's kind of tough to just say things even though they sound dumb, because there's always some kind of person or group or whoever that would just be willing to pounce on every wrong thing that you say and fact check you. And yes, there's times where you do need to be very accurate with what you're saying, but you also, how would you know something is dumb if you don't put it out there? Yes, there are some things that are just far out, men not knowing how pads work, right? Or I don't know, something like that. That is something that you can easily get over by educating yourself, right? Then there are views someone being ableist, where you're like, I don't see any problem with this establishment not having an elevator, even though it is a 3-story building. That is something that is obviously objectively wrong. And you can see that, anyways. I say all of this to say welcome. Don't have an intro or anything. And I'm just literally sitting here talking to you. I'm just going to see where this goes as I continue talking. But I was recently just listening to this kind of informative video about quote unquote, why is everyone suddenly autistic? And it basically was this, I think she's a doctor, but I should get fact checked on that. Probably I'll put the link in the description of this episode. Wow. Ambitious. Little ambitious proletariat. Anyway, yeah, so basically in that video, there was a point that was made. A couple points that seem a little bit like, why would you say that? But, okay, the first thing that I need to get out we know that autism was called, what is it? I think lower support autism was called Asperger's. Doesn't matter to me because I know that name, wasn't he a Nazi doctor? Yeah, I think that's why, apart from it being inaccurate in terms of the spectrum of autism, that name shouldn't be used in regard to autism. Sorry, there's going to be a lot of frequent pausing because, I got stuff doing. But, so basically, I don't think that name should be associated with neurodiversity or anything to do with that. Yes, I understand that research went into a lot of things, but when you say Nazi, put Nazi in front of that, like when people say, oh, did you like that painting? Sorry, that was my alarm. A little K-pop to start your morning. Um, but like, I hate when people make that kind of like joke or it's a meme. It's like, I cannot say that after learning about the Holocaust that I have any kind of like, the last thing that I found funny regarding Hitler was there was a video, no, a show that showed all the ways that Hitler could die, like different paths. It's like a pick your own adventure kind of thing. It's like, oh, if he went to art school, how would he die? If he died like the war hero he portrayed himself to be, even though he had started a pile of shit, how would he die? Like, anyways, not a fan of certain jokes, clearly. And I've been told by many people that I'm a little bit sensitive, or, oh, you can't take a joke. I can take a joke. It has to be funny. Yeah, that silence was intentional because you have to think about it. If you realize someone doesn't laugh at your joke, you have to gauge for yourself without them even telling you, maybe they didn't find that funny, or maybe something else is on their brain, like, but you really do have to reassess the type of humor that you employ with different people that you don't even know from, atoms. But it's kind of interesting that I just kept talking and now we're here talking about jokes that shouldn't be jokes, but speaking of jokes that shouldn't be jokes, I'm not going to get into it on this episode, but I will make a note of it for a future episode. Yeah. So, was watching this video, and the person who made the point, this is the why is everybody autistic suddenly, that video. She said that in the neurodivergent branch off to like autistic, I guess, group or advocates and stuff like that, a lot of people are saying like, that their neurodiversity, because they are on, I guess, the lower support or lower needs side of the autistic spectrum, they're saying like, I don't need help. You don't need to like infantilize us. You don't need to baby us. You don't need to have sympathy like that because of how our brain is wired or how our brain has developed. But they're also actively taking away the voices and the rights of people with higher needs and that need higher support systems. So it's like, okay, while it may not be a problem for you to go to a grocery store, somebody else would have a meltdown, somebody else would have a breakdown. And it can be taken the wrong way by a lot of people who are neurodiverse and are autistic and or are English. Good God. All the words sound the same. Let me stop. But I can see the validity in what they're saying, because who wants to stand there with like, say, lower needs? That's when I say stand, I mean figuratively. I don't want to be ableist in what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is, say for instance, you're organizing with this group and you're supporting. Sorry, I actually hit snooze, so it might go off again. Sorry in advance. But basically, I can't keep getting interrupted. You're organizing, working with, advocating with, protesting with, signing all these petitions and making things and moving things for people who are also neurodivergent and or autistic and have ADHD and whatever whatever other things fit into the neurodivergent umbrella, right? But then only to realize that these people are only really catering to people with lower needs and like, well, lower support needs. That makes, if I'm not making sense, please let me know. I don't want to offend anybody unintentionally. Like, when I say that, I don't want it to seem like I'm speaking from like a very ableist perspective or a neurotypical perspective. Don't think I'm neurotypical by any means. I do have coping mechanisms and I do mask heavily. So, I mean, I don't have a formal diagnosis for autism. So that's why I say all of this and say, hey, you know what? I don't have the credentials that a lot of people look for when they're like, oh, you're talking about autism? Are you autistic? Stop talking then. Like, that's why I say all of that. Anyways, but I can see that it wouldn't be fair to people with higher needs and, you know, they need more support for people to be like gatekeeping, like, oh, well, you know, oh, we both like have the same stem, or we both have similar like hyperfixations or whatever. And then somebody that literally isn't able to dress themselves still has the same like developmental disorder, but for somebody that is on the lower needs side of the spectrum or has other forms of support that helps them cope better, they're not even like checking for them, you know? And it kind of throws me back to like other socio-religious organizations and also other social movements and social rights movements. But I'm not going to get into that because I am not getting into that today. I'm not afraid to approach it, but I just don't have the mental space right now to get into all of that. Anyways, this has gone on for about 13, going on 13 minutes now. And I want to limit these to at most maybe like 40 minutes. Do want to have people on here to talk as guests. It's mainly just going to be like people that I'm interested in interviewing. And it sounds so mean to say it like that. But if you're not interviewed, it's not that I don't want to interview you. It's just that there is a list of people that I need to interview first, and I'm going to come down. So, like, I want to do an interview with my siblings, right? But we're in different countries. So that is not an option. Would they be like first on my priority list? Sure. Then I also have, I don't want to say it, I have an idea of a couple other people I want to speak with, like on this platform. But in due time, I wish that I had more time and more energy in a day to like just record, sit there, and I wish I had the privacy to just do that. But that is not the reality I live in. So you get what you get and you don't throw off hat. Anyway, I'm just gonna limit it, close off, because there it is, like clockwork. Let me stop. Yeah, so thank you for listening, and have a good whatever it is in your time, and do something that you actually enjoy. And if you don't normally do that, do it for once. Okay, stay hydrated. I'll talk with you, at you, to you. Talking at you sounds bad, but I'll talk to you another time.